Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to this very special podcast on my Ashraya. And today we have a very special personality. He's a Sanyaasi, a deeply realized person. He's a Dhamvasi because most of the time he spends in Gir Govardhan. And Maharaj's name is His Holiness Bhakti Vigyana Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj, we are so grateful to you that you have taken out your precious time for this very special podcast. And Maharaj has been a scientist in Russia. And Maharaj did his graduation in from Moscow State University, and then later on he did his post-graduation from the Institute of Molecular Biology. Right, Maharaj?
Yes.
And then now he's a spiritual scientist as well. So Maharaj is very, very learned. Maharaj has been preaching in Russia, the Sanatan Dharma, chanting of the holy name, the divine teachings of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Now there are hundreds and thousands and millions of devotees in Russia. Russia is the place of rishis, the saintly people. But who is making them rishis? Well, here is the person, His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. So Maharaj has been a GBC as well, which is the senior most managerial authority. He's an initiating spiritual master, and is a glorious His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. You know, journey home, journey within. That glorious His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, glorious disciple here we have in the form of His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj. And today we are having his very special association. So Maharaj, very warm, very loving, very respectful. Welcome to this podcast in my Ashraya. Thank you for coming, Maharaj.
Thank you very much. Very enthusiastic introduction. I've never had this one.
Oh, Maharaj, we have to be because Maharaj, you're so glorious. That's so wonderful.
Okay.
So it is International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So yes, we have devotees of Lord Krishna all across the globe. And here is not just a ritualistic devotee, but a very, very exalted devotee who is inspiring, training devotees. So Maharaj, everyone would be intrigued that here is a person who is from Russia. He's been a scientist. He was a well-accomplished person. But how come this person has become a monk practicing Krishna consciousness from past 45 years? How come, Maharaj? So how did you come to Krishna consciousness?
Well, I came to Krishna consciousness because of Bhagavad Gita. I read Bhagavad Gita, and it was not Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. It was just verses of Bhagavad Gita translated into Russian. A very old book, which was illegal at that time in Russia, because Russia, Soviet Union, was strictly atheistic country. No religion was allowed. No practicing religion was allowed. Even Christianity was basically banned. But somehow or other, my friend gave me Bhagavad Gita, and I read, and I was so impressed by Bhagavad Gita because somewhere inside, intuitively, I felt it's true. I didn't understand why, I didn't understand how, but I felt that it's very rational. It's not just a book which is saying just believe in something and then you will be saved. It is a book which explains rational, very logical picture of reality, which was very compelling. It's not that immediately I was converted. I was an atheist. From background, my parents were atheists and my grandparents were atheists. They were communists. Communist means atheist. So, I was not in a hurry to accept it, but I felt it's definitely a case which should be considered very seriously. And then I started thinking, what worldview has better explanation of the reality which we have? And there was a battle, fierce battle for approximately 1 year within my heart. I was comparing the scientific data which is there and the picture which is depicted in Bhagavad Gita with Krishna in the center, with God in the center. And ultimately, I kind of realized that the picture in Bhagavad Gita is more compelling. It explains more about reality than the scientific rubbish which I had before in my head. So it definitely explained more and told more about the reality. And especially, if you consider that there is somebody who is in charge, then the whole creation makes sense. Yes. Whereas mechanical arrangement, which is proclaimed to be the ultimate arrangement of the matter according to modern science, doesn't make sense. Yeah. Anything doesn't make sense in this regard. Yeah. Human life doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. Yeah. So, and we are human beings. We understand that there is some sense, that there is some meaning. Absolutely. So basically, Bhagavad Gita made me a devotee, besides some circumstances in my life, sometimes very dramatic. There was KGB involved in this. But basically, it's because I was so impressed by Bhagavad Gita.
Wow. We pray that someday we also become that much impressed by Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And Maharaj said that intuitively, I could see that, yes, it is a very rational book. So it's not just a religious book which some kind of dictates. That's a no. So Maharaj will find it very, very logical. And Bhagavad Gita can reach Russia, and there, even in a country where religion is not allowed to practice freely, there Maharaj got Bhagavad Gita. So that means Bhagavad Gita can choose a recipient. Yes, here is a person who is ready for it. And Maharaj got Bhagavad Gita, and we are seeing, wow, what a transformation. And now Maharaj is transforming so many lives. And Maharaj, so we have this version of Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes people become really doubtful that this ISKCON Bhagavad Gita, this Swami Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita is very bhakti biased. Even in the verses, there is no Krishna. But Swamiji puts in translation, Krishna, Krishna. There is no mention of Bhakti Yoga. It's all about Buddhi Yoga. And then he says, action in Krishna consciousness. How come where is Krishna consciousness? So this appears to be very bhakti biased. Is it Swami Prabhupada is bhakti biased or Krishna is bhakti biased? What is your opinion?
Bhakti is the ultimate message of all the Vedas, because bhakti is the most natural energy of our heart. Bhakti means love, and what is more natural than love? Everyone manifests some love, even cats and dogs and cows, of course. And what to speak about human beings, because love is the essence of our life. So when Krishna speaks about bhakti and stresses bhakti, emphasizes bhakti, he just emphasizes that this is the most natural process of spiritual development and the most natural process of living in this life. If we take yoga, yoga is a glorious system, no doubt about it. I do my yoga every day, I do pranayam, I have great respect. But it's not so natural to sit in a lotus posture for 3 hours. You put your left leg over the right ear, and in this way try to somehow or other, change the breathing pattern. Vairagya, which is very much about Gyan. What is Gyan? Gyan means you have to be Vairagya. You have to renounce everything. You have to leave everything aside. It's not natural. By nature, we love, but love is natural. Out of this space, yoga is glorious, but also natural. Gyan is definitely not natural, but bhakti is absolutely natural. For the purpose of self-realization to be the most important, it has to be natural. It has to be swabhavik. It has to have this spontaneous or natural quality in it. So it's not without a reason Krishna stresses bhakti so much. He speaks in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita about yoga, Ashtanga yoga. He goes through all the stages of samadhi, explains what is the experiences of samadhi. And then he says, Yoginam api sarvisham adgatenantara atmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyak yuktatamamataha. Who is the best of the yogis? The one who has shraddha and one who has bhakti ultimately. Yes. So who worships me with bhakti, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam, same yuktatama madha. He is the yuktatama. Yuktatama means the most appropriate, the most practical yogi. So it's not that Srila Prabhupada puts something artificially in the Bhagavad Gita and explains in a very balanced and natural way. Yes, there is karma yoga. Yes, there is jnana yoga. Yes, there is ashtanga yoga. All these yogas are being described. And yes, there is bhakti yoga. And then what is the best one? It's very clearly said at the end of the 6th chapter and in many other places that this is the best yoga. And Srila Prabhupada does. And what is the end of Bhagavad Gita? What is the last verse of Bhagavad Gita? Sarvadharma parityajamam ekam sharanam vraja. Manmana bhava madbhaktomam yajimam namaskarum vaishyasi satyam te. That's the end. Krishna finished speaking to Arjuna. He said, I already told you everything. Just think about it and make your own decision. And then he says, no, let me again reiterate what I wanted to say. And he speaks these 2 verses. Give up everything and surrender unto me and think about me, become my bhakta. Yes. It's not Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't put these verses into his Bhagavad Gita. They are there in Mahabharata, in the Bhishma Parva. So it's a completely ridiculous claim that Prabhupada artificially banned Bhagavad Gita to make it sound like it is a bhakti book. Yes, it's an overview of all different spiritual paths, no doubt about it. But ultimately, what is the best, what is the most natural, what is the most simple and efficient spiritual path? That's bhakti.
Well, then somebody can say, well, yeah, bhakti is important. We agree with you. But bhakti is just a means so that we can be liberated. So ultimate goal is liberation. It is mukti. Bhakti is for sentimental people, less intelligent people, listen stories and all that. But in case you want to be evolved as a spiritualist, study Upanishads, more cryptic codes of the Vedas. But you guys are only into stories, Prahlad, Dhruv, and all that. So once you grow from this childish understanding, then you are recipient of the topmost thing, which is liberation, mukti. We are intelligent people. That's why we are into Gyan. People who are emotional, they're into bhakti, Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna. It's all emotional stuff. So how to make such people understand what's the real thing?
First of all, see, we as human beings, we have this body and senses. We have the mind and we have the heart. That's the triple composition of us human beings. For the body, there is karma yoga. For the mind, there is jnana yoga. But what is the most important part of a human being? It's the heart. The heart makes everything else work. And it's not that intelligence is the most important part of a human being. Actually, the emotions are most important part of a human being, because even intelligent people, when they feel some emotions, they're completely swayed and they have forgotten their emotions. If you are completely intelligent and only intelligent and you completely suppress your emotions, you are not complete human being. Yes. Human beings are essentially have this very essential. There's nothing wrong with emotions. Emotions are only wrong when they push somebody in the wrong direction, which is often the case. There's no doubt about it. But ultimately, only when one feels very highly elevated and developed emotions, one feels fulfilled. If one is only intellectual and his heart is just silent and empty, he will never feel fulfilled. Even intellectual people, they need to feel fulfilled, to feel loved. That's an essential need of a human being. You can be as much intellectual as you want, but if nobody loves you, you will not be happy. And ultimately, we want to be happy in all these pursuits. And therefore, the most intelligent people, they ultimately believe in God, and believing means praying, believing means expressing emotions towards God, surrendering to God. Albert Einstein was one of the most intelligent people in the world. He was a believer. He was also praying. So yes, liberation is the goal for most of the people, but those people who have love of God, they even neglect it, which shows that love has more all-consuming experience, deeper experience, give you deeper happiness than just the state of liberation. The state of liberation, very elevated state, but even after that, there is something which is postgraduate. The liberation is a graduate stage, but there is a postgraduate, which means love. And yes, sometimes bhakti is being depicted, but this is not bhakti. This is just some distortion of bhakti. Some when the mundane, when Radhe Radhe Hare Krishna, it may be a caricature of real bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is something much more deeper and much more profound, much more serious than this. It's not just, Hare Krishna and everything else is there. It's inner transformation of you being the enjoyer of this world into real lover of the reality.
Wow, amazing. So, Maharaj, we see that your understanding of Bhagavad Gita is so deep. In fact, it's very inspirational for all of us that we should also study Bhagavad Gita repeatedly, nicely, and hear from the devotees who have got such deep understanding of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, Maharaj, you are spreading the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in Russia, and you are traveling to so many places, and so many decades you have spent preaching Krishna consciousness in Russia, and now in India also, in Govardhan, devotees especially come to Govardhan to attend retreats of yours. So, Maharaj, when you are in Russia, so what's the response of the people in Russia towards Krishna consciousness?
Like in any country, there are some positive people, some negative people, some completely demoniac people who don't like to hear this, some neutral people. But in general, people are very responsive because they're looking for some spiritual solutions. Like people in the West, I'm speaking in general terms. In the West, there are many beautiful people, but many of them are spoiled by this availability of sense gratification, and they think this is nice. I have my cozy life. I have everything which is needed for me to be happy. But in Russia, because the life is much more difficult there, by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, life is not easy, and because it's not so easy, people are more thoughtful, and they're trying to find the solutions. And sometimes, in their attempts to find the solution, they are looking for something spiritual, not for something superficial, which is there. There is plenty of different people, as in any country. But there is a section of very, very positive and who are looking for spirituality, not just religious dogmas. They want to find a rational and intelligible solution to their problems, and therefore many of them are very receptive towards the presentation of Krishna consciousness given by Srila Prabhupada in his books, especially in Bhagavad Gita, of course. And Bhagavad Gita is a special book. It is called Mimamsa Shastra in the sense that it is the book which makes you think. Mimamsa means, the desire to think deeply. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he pushes you to think about the reality in a more profound and deeper way and to understand the reality. So, and in this way, by thinking about Bhagavad Gita, we develop faith in Bhagavad Gita, in the words of Bhagavad Gita, the trust in the whole book and in the purpose of this book to make us happy.
So when we are preaching in Russia, so either we have atheists or those who are Christians. So which activity, which aspect of Krishna consciousness is most connected to them? Is it prasadam? Is it kirtan? Is it our dancing? Because I see so many Russian devotees, they make a queue and then they have a similar choreography: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and twist, twist, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Is it that very impressive, or is it the philosophy or the culture of Krishna consciousness? What is most connecting to them?
Well, in general, Russian people like India. And that's a long-standing tradition from the times of Indira Gandhi and Gita and Zita and Zita and Gita, whatever it is. All these Bollywood movies and Hema Malini. She was an icon for many Russian. Raj Kapoor was. There is some sort of deep connection between Russian people and Indian people. Hindi, Rusi, Bhai Bhai, all this kind of stuff is there, somewhere deeply ingrained in the hearts. And people in Russia know that Indian people have some spiritual solutions, spiritual recipes to find this mystical India. Of course, yogis are there. It's a very intriguing part of the whole Indian culture. But I would say that the most attractive part of it, when many people are being attracted to Krishna consciousness or somewhere around Krishna consciousness, is the cultural aspect of it. Because they naturally have trust to Bharatiya culture, to the culture of ancient Bharata. And of course, the more intelligent people are attracted by philosophy and by Bhagavad Gita. And prasadam is universal. If people take good food, vegetarian food, it's very attractive. There's no doubt about it, especially if there's not much chili in it. So that's an important. Russian people don't understand infatuation. But yeah, and there's a lot of harinams. Different people are attracted to different aspects, but in general, people have trust in Indian culture, in Vedic culture, in the culture of ancient Vedas, and they know that there are some solutions which we don't have and which we should look there.
In Russia, what all we usually do, like for example, we have university programs or we have some congregation programs. So what all we do so that different diverse kind of people can connect to?
We distribute books, Srila Prabhupada's books on the streets, and not only on the streets, and many people very receptively read these books because at least before that, of course, nowadays because of the internet and everything, people read less. But before it was very much country of readers who read a lot of books. We do harinams. It's very in general because people see that we are very, relaxed and very happy. We do good food distribution, especially in some affected areas. Like now, there's unfortunately war is going on, and we do help needy people by distributing prasadam. We invite many people for lectures. And one of the most important aspects of spreading Vedic culture in Russia, which may not be directly the lectures on Bhagavad Gita, but the lectures on Ayurveda, yoga, which connect people more closely to Srila Prabhupada's movement. There are preachers who preach this through Ayurveda, through some health conscious practices, and so on and so forth. So there are different diverse approaches, but we do a lot of different activities according to Srila Prabhupada's vision.
Wow. And we also heard that during this war between Russia and Ukraine, some of the Ukrainian and Russian devotees, they would even distribute prasadam, helping the local people over there. And even to the soldiers, that my dear friends, do not fight, but at least have some prasadam, risking their own lives. So this was very courageous step being taken by the devotees. So from where came this idea and how did they execute this of distribution of prasadam in such a crucial time?
Well, Srila Prabhupada, his heart was bleeding because he saw the sufferings of people in the world. And he came to America, and that was Vietnam War, and he saw how people are mercilessly drafted into this war even though they don't want. Before that, like Mahabharata war, those people who were not warriors by nature, they were not drafted, they were not forced to fight in this war. The wars in Kali Yuga are very bad in general because they involve a lot of innocent and even unwilling people. Yeah. People become just used in this industrial warfare. Yeah. The modern warfare is just industrial. Yeah, there's no even place to manifest your courage or whatever. And so many people who don't want to fight war, they're still drafted or forced to fight war and forced to kill other people and are involved in this. Prabhupada's compassion was very much prominent, and he actually he invested this compassion in the hearts of his followers. He wants us to help people, and of course he said that the best charity which we can do is to help people to understand their real nature. I have one follower who is fighting now, and he told me, I met with him personally, and he told me that when there is an attack and the bombs are falling and he's there in the battlefield, he's praying, and very loudly he's praying and chanting Hare Krishna. And he said that all other soldiers next to him, they asked, well, what is it you were telling at that time? Because he said that the Krishna consciousness is the only way to remain human in this completely unhuman situation. So it is compassion. It may not be our own compassion. We may not feel so deeply within the heart because naturally we become selfish and egoistic, but because we know the example of Srila Prabhupada, who was sacrificing his life for the welfare of other people, we're trying to do something to follow him in a small way, whatever we can do. But the main motivating force is the compassion, because we see how much people in this Kali Yuga are suffering. It's such a chaotic and confused time. When people don't know what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do, they have no idea what is Dharma, what is Adharma. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. And as a result, they're suffering the consequences of their karma, of their wrongdoings. So to give people the understanding what should be done, what should not be done, this is the motivating force for all the followers of Srila Prabhupada. And we're convinced that he explained in a very clear and straightforward way what should be done, what should not be done.
Am I, apart from Russia, where all places you travel, because you're a preacher, you're practicing bhakti from 45 years now, so which all places you go and how is your experience there?
Well, there are different people in different places, different mentalities in different places, but everywhere you find very nice, very receptive, very beautiful people. I go oftentimes to Israel, and there is a lot of people in Israel who are very much interested in Krishna consciousness and very enthusiastic about Krishna consciousness and very, very receptive. There's a lot of intelligent people in Israel. So I go to some other places. In other places, like I traveled several times to South Korea. It's a very difficult place to preach. People
In South Korea?
South Korea, yeah. They're very much, they're workaholics. They just don't know anything besides their work, and they're working, 7 days a week, So in different places, there are different reactions, but because I know Russian, I speak Russian. Wherever I go, there are some Russian people, and I address them, because Russian speaking nowadays, you cannot say Russian only, because there are a lot of Ukrainian people, Belarusian people, Georgian people, Armenian people. But because of the past, many of them know Russian, and everywhere I see in Hare Krishna temples in America, I see Russian devotees and Indian people, Indian devotees, and a few American devotees as well. But that's. See, Srila Prabhupada's specialty was that he presented Krishna consciousness in a very universal way. It's not tailored for Indians or for Russians or for any specific nationality. It's for all human beings. And because he presented it in such a universal way, everyone can find his space in Krishna consciousness and the approach. So it doesn't really matter who you are. If you have the ability to speak in such a way that to connect people with the core of Krishna consciousness, then it doesn't matter where you are.
But I must say that preaching what is happening in Russia is really incredible, because sometimes people say, ISKCON means Indo-Slavic Society for Krishna Consciousness. Either you find Indians or there are Russian people, and that was such a good number. Even Radhanath Maharaj, when he was in USA, he was saying that when I go to USA, Americans come, but most of them are Russian Americans. Those who were earlier, they were in Russia, now they are shifted to America.
I must correct now, because not only Russians, Ukrainians, a lot of Ukrainians. Yes. Before that, you could use this generic term. Now you shouldn't use this generic term. It's very sensitive.
Yes, Maharaj. In fact, this whole subcontinent of Russia and Ukraine, so this whole together, yes, which earlier used to call as USSR, together. So they all have some kind of special mercy. People are very hardworking, and they also do hard work in Krishna consciousness. They got up quite early. I came to know from one devotee who was from Russia. He said that most of the devotees, they chant 16 rounds before Mangal Aarti, and after Mangal Aarti, they read Srila Prabhupada's books for 2 hours, and then they go for book distribution. And that's why one of the top book distributor temples is from Moscow or similar areas in Russia and Ukraine, because devotees do such good austerity. My God, here in India, you would hardly find a devotee who would do 16 rounds before Mangal Aarti. My God, I can't recall in my 25 years of career that I chanted 16 rounds before Mangal Aarti. But devotees are so naturally austere, which is really inspirational, Maharaj. So I think that's one of the factors you think, Maharaj, that it is growing so successfully over there.
That's definitely one of the factors, because people have special taste for austerity. There's no doubt about it. The life is austere, and they're kind of used to it. And when austerity makes sense, the Krishna conscious austerity is a very sensible austerity. It's a very useful austerity, because sometimes austerity just demolishes your body, destroys your body. But Krishna conscious austerity is good for the body and for the mind, and therefore people are eager to perform austerity which they have trust and believe in.
Yes, Maharaj. And Maharaj, we see that although this Krishna consciousness is growing so very fast, but sometimes there are challenges also. Like in between, we heard about one controversy that Bhagavad Gita is a book of violence, but then later on it was mitigated, and then people, in fact, the amount of book distribution happened during those years was really incredible. So how that controversy got settled, that it is not a book of violence, but rather it brings peace. We may have some violent ideas inside, but that gets settled by Bhagavad Gita.
Well, this whole story started by one very fanatical Christian person who was very much against Krishna consciousness, and he thought it's a good idea to ban Bhagavad Gita on the pretext that it is a terroristic book or something like this. Without, of course, understanding the message of Bhagavad Gita. The message of Bhagavad Gita is that if you have ahankar, false ego, false identity, that's the cause of violence. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches how to get rid of false identity, how to identify as the soul, which is loving by nature. So by identifying with the soul, you are automatically freed from the tendency to be violent. And this person had this completely wrong idea. He had this false ego, ahankara, and this and I am that, and he wanted to use violence against Bhagavad Gita. So, but Krishna says, "Yayatam amrapadyante tapsatam bhajamyaham." How one reciprocates with me, I reciprocate accordingly. So there was this big case, and of course, we're very grateful at this time. Sushma Swaraj, who was in the parliament, she started this campaign to protect Bhagavad Gita. She said, Bhagavad Gita is our national book. It's our pride. How you can ban Bhagavad Gita? Banning Bhagavad Gita is tantamount of banning India from relationship with Russia. And of course, the whole court case failed because of this. But it was very stressful time for me. I was very closely involved. But of course, the very beginning. But unfortunately, many things which don't make sense somehow or other become the reality. But that was not the case. And of course, the government helped, and ambassador in India, he was also very helpful. I had a relationship with him, and we spoke with him, and he said that it's an absurd case. So in any case, it's long gone.
And why you have written a book about the prayers of Queen Kunti, which is from the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th chapter. So an extensive commentary on each and every verse where Kunti Maharani is offering prayers to Krishna. So how come this book came into being, this idea came into being that you want to write a book on particularly these prayers? Although there are other sections which are also very nectarian, but you chose this one. So how come this idea came into being? And is this book also available on Amazon, Maharaj?
Yeah. So Queen Kunti's prayers are very, very important because she had a very hard life, and she teaches us how to cope with the difficulties in our life, how to ultimately overcome all the difficulties and become the victorious. And everyone's life is difficult, but her life was especially difficult, and Krishna chooses her as an example. Here is somebody whose husband died when she was still young, who got the children from the demigods, whose children were, attempted to be burned, and she was exiled with them, and she was living in the forest with them. And then after that, this huge war started. They were exiled for 12 years, and 13 years they were living, and she didn't know. She was in complete anxiety. And then this war started, and in the war, her grandchildren were killed, and everyone was basically killed. Only her 5 sons survived, and her first son, Karna, was also killed by Arjuna. So we know all this very difficult life, and she's standing in front of Krishna, and she knows that Krishna is behind all these difficulties, and she thanks him for all these difficulties. And she says, thank you for sending these difficulties, because when I get these difficulties, I can remember about you, and I can overcome all the difficulties. And actually, difficulties disappear when I remember about you. So this is a very deeply realized and heartfelt prayers, which are relevant to all of us who undergo some difficulties. And everyone undergoes difficulties, but especially relevant for people who are in the situation of war or in the situation of extreme difficulties. How to accept these difficulties with grateful heart, which is not an easy thing. And I took an opportunity to reflect on all these things, also because my life was not easy either, and because I know that the people whom I address, they have severe difficulties in their life. So that's why I decided to elaborate something on this topic, and basically to help people to cope and to deal with the difficulties in a productive way, not in a destructive way, not in a negative way. So, and yeah, this book was quite well received by those people who read it.
And right now you're saying in Giriraj Govardhan, which is very, very powerful place, spiritually very potent place. So how come you are now at the lotus feet of Giriraj Govardhan? Why did you choose Giriraj Govardhan? You could have chosen maybe Radha Kund or Shyam Kund or maybe Vrindavan Dham, Barsana Dham, but you have chosen Giriraj Govardhan. So why so, and what all do you do there, Maharaj?
Well, Krishna lifted Giriraj Govardhan hill, and he called all the people of Raj to take shelter. Ashraya.
Our Ashraya, my Ashraya.
Under the hill. So Giriraj is famous for giving shelter to everyone, to animals, to dumb people, to intelligent people, to loving people, to miscreants, to everyone. It's universal. And because I feel that I need some shelter, I'm there to find this shelter. And because I know that Krishna is not discriminating. If somebody is sincerely seeking shelter, he gives the shelter without any prior qualification or any prior demands too much. If you want to, to accept shelter, the shelter is available. That's why I'm there. And I see sometimes, I saw once, there was a bunch of children there near Govardhan. They were playing, and there was a big snake, and they started chasing the snake, and the snake was very frantic. They were just beating it with the sticks and everything. And I saw how the snake was directly crawling towards Govardhan.
Wow.
Trying to find protection there. It perfectly well knew in which direction he should run, not in an opposite direction. And at that moment, I saw that I'm like the snake.
You are snake, but Ananta Shesh kind of snake, who glorifies Krishna so much. Yes.
But I was there trying to find some shelter and some peace, and of course, what I'm doing there, I'm trying to my little whatever to serve Krishna. I still travel a lot. I still give seminars and lectures, and but I try to devote some time to write books because I have some proclivity for this. I have some ability to do this, and I have written quite a few books. I mostly write in Russian, but some of the books are being translated into English, and this is the first one. It's called Healing Prayers.
Healing Prayers, wow.
Yeah, it's called Healing Prayers because by going through or experiencing the prayers of Queen Kunti, we can heal our soul, which is divided now. We can make our soul more healthy and wholesome, and ultimately offer our soul to the lotus feet of Krishna.
So much required, Maharaj, because nowadays people have wounds, but less wounds outside, more wounds inside, in their hearts, in their emotions. Somebody's uncivilized behavior, some kind of injustice, gruesome times.
Social media is so uncivilized nowadays.
Such time we all need healing.
And there's only one way to achieve this healing, through the prayers.
Yes.
And it's a special kind of prayers which I explained, which make us more wholesome, more complete in a sense, more not so divided as we usually are, and facilitating our spiritual growth. So that's why it's called healing prayers. It has nothing to do with this.
Reiki healing.
It's the internal healing which we all need.
Yes, Maharaj. And during such testing times when we are struggling with relationships and people are so sensitive, people are so egoistic. Earlier people used to be sensitive about others, but now they are sensitive about themselves. So they are so touchy that anybody getting wounded is so easy. So somewhere getting healed is so very important, Maharaj. So, and also Maharaj, we would like to, since you are practicing Krishna consciousness from past 45 years, you are doing bhajan for 45 years. So some tips from your side for good quality chanting, because either we tend to hurry, such a sound sleep. People have faith in the holy name. There's something which makes us sleep. So there should be something in the holy name. So, but we struggle with chanting. Either we get distracted or we are sleeping. So how to have good, attentive chanting, absorbing chanting, uplifting chanting, where we feel the presence of Krishna in the holy name.
All our acharyas says that in the beginning there should be the spirit of Sharanagati, surrender. If we invest these emotions of Sharanagati into our prayer, then it will become emotionally fulfilling experience. Whereas if it's just a mechanical, miraculous, magical ritual which we are performing to obtain some benefits out of it, then it cannot bring some satisfaction to the heart. See, there is a spiritual emotions which we cannot imitate. Spiritual emotions are being conferred to us. We cannot really squeeze out spiritual emotions while chanting. They have to come to us on their own accord. And material emotions, of course, they distract us from chanting. If we are stressed out, if we are completely, emotionally distressed, then of course our chanting will not be very powerful. But there is an emotion which is still material, but at the same time it's highly elevated material emotion, which brings us into the spiritual, into the realm of spiritual emotions. This is the emotion of gratitude. If we chant with this emotion of gratitude, which we can experience ourselves, of course, it comes to a humble heart, to somebody who is not very proud. The proud people cannot be grateful. It goes against. But if we feel gratitude towards Srila Prabhupada, gratitude towards God, gratitude towards even our government or whatever, if we invest the gratitude into the chanting, my dear Lord, I'm so fortunate. I can chant your holy name. I have relatively healthy body. I have everything. I'm not hungry. I'm not distracted so much by these material circumstances. I have this opportunity to chant and to express my gratitude. If our Hare Krishna chanting will become the expression of my deeply felt gratitude, which we should find within our heart, within the core of our heart, then sleep will vanish and emotions will be prevalent within our heart, and Krishna will hear such prayers. And actually, gratitude is the essence of Sharanagati. Sharanagati is not only about give me protection, or Sharanagati is I'm yours, and thank you very much for everything you have done to me. Thank you very much for maintaining me, for giving me this air, this to breathe, this water to drink, this food to eat, and this beautiful literature to think about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if emotions are coupled with our chanting, then the chanting will become very fulfilling and very easy and actually very happy exercise.
What is your favorite prasadam item?
My favorite prasadam item. Well, I like dahi vada.
Oh wow, I also like it very much. Yes. And this is your favorite book, Maharaj?
My favorite book? Oh, I like many books, but
Maybe top three?
well, I studied Srimad Bhagavatam carefully. I try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very difficult book, but very fulfilling. I like Madhurya Kadambini very much, and of course, I like Journey Home. It's a beautiful book. So many books are there.
Favorite holy dham?
Well, initially when I first came to India, Jagannath Puri kind of stole my heart.
Okay.
I like Jagannath Puri so much. And then I liked Mayapur very much, but now I'm kind of more into Braj. Braj is a difficult place, but it's the most amazing place in the whole universe. So.
And any kind of adventure which you want to do, but now since you are a devotee, you said no, I can't do that now.
No, I have much more adventures now than than before. My life is nothing but boring. It's anything but boring. So just a couple of days back, I was in Prayagraj and I was taking snan with 1 million people in a sangam. So that's adventure in itself to get into snan. And no, I don't need more adventures. I have enough adventures in my life. Believe me.
And among all these different places where you go and preach, although you love everyone equally, but still, which one is your favorite out of them?
The place where people have the most gratitude and the most heart and very emotional. I mean, many places. I very much like Ukraine and the Ukrainian devotees. They are very dear to my heart. In Russia, I travel in many places, and some places are amazing. But there is also Little Republic, Georgia, in Caucasus, and people are so nice there, and I like these Georgian people so much. But anyway, it's very difficult. Actually, the most memorable trip or adventure which I had in my Krishna consciousness was when I once went to Bangladesh.
Oh,
I fell in love with Bangladeshi people. I was only once there, but they are so pure and simple and emotional in a very nice way. So that probably had the most lasting impression in my heart. But unfortunately, I was only once there. I would love to go there again.
Yeah, currently it is a turmoil. Once this turmoil gets settled, then certainly, Maharaj. And what is your favorite leisure activity, Maharaj?
My favorite leisure activity.
Do for hours and you're alone and you like to do that. Your favorite time pass?
I don't have so much free time for leisure activities. I'm very busy.
But in case you get maybe say 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour.
15 minutes, what would I do?
Swimming?
No, swimming I love very much, definitely. I like swimming very much. And I also like singing with harmonium when I'm alone. I'm not such an expert, but when I'm alone, I like it very much. So sometimes I do this, but if I have an opportunity to swim, I always swim, yes.
Wow. So my last message for all the devotees who are listening to this podcast, last message, the cherry on the cake.
Krishna consciousness is the way to become happy. And this happiness is there in Krishna consciousness in every activity. And our sacred duty is to find this happiness. Srila Prabhupada, when he said chant and be happy, it's an order. We should understand that this is not a condition. If you chant, you will become happy. No, he didn't mean this. He meant you chant and be happy at that time.
Yes.
So that's a very important order which we have to fulfill. Chant and be happy.
Yes. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And we are already happy because of the association of His Holiness Bhakti Vigyana Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for taking out your time, sharing the words of wisdom, your realizations. So we got all these ripened realizations which Maharaj has got from all these years. So we got the ripened fruit of all of that. So thank you, Maharaj. So grateful to you for coming to my Ashraya podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. His Holiness Bhakti Vigyana Swami Maharaj ji ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.